there, as was Shane and Jacques. Wow, we're collecting a lot of issues on approaching the grid. Hamrick, Burn It Down, Chums, everybody picking up those DSQs from the formation lap. However, it matters very little on these intermediate tyres. Away from the start, we should have a very intriguing Hungarian race ready for you as we start our session. Just trying to get you a good camera angle. I've got absolutely nothing on the drivers. Let's start from Sergeant Panda as it's dropped the clutch and go from away from the line. It's a good start from Avi, a reasonable start from Shane as Panda tries to tiptoe his way. He's going to park himself on the outside of the circuit. We know that's a dangerous place to be for a championship leader, but Avi in the middle of the road, he's got cars either side of him, and it's Panda with a great drive away from turn 2 is actually challenging for the lead of the race going into turn 2 there. It's Shane who got late on the brakes. It's the AlphaTauris together. What a start from Sir Hamrick, up from 8th on the grid up to 3rd already. 5 places gained as Pampern in the Haas is up to 11th and bettering that start as they tear through turn 4. That was a problem for a McLaren driver spinning in turn 4. That was Martin getting about 90 degrees to the racetrack through turn 4. He's managed to recover into P10, down 6 places, and the terrible tale of the McLarens is continues into lap 1 of our race. It is it's easier to call the drivers who haven't moved forward or backwards. Stoffel, Botta and Chicken Wing so far, as Chicken Wing now goes further back in the grid. Has he come off the circuit? I wonder. Let's have a look. Yes, turning round and facing the wrong way. He's at the rear of the field, but so far so good for Avi from the lead. It looks like a safety car or a VSC. I can't be sure just yet because of the way the game fails to display what type of safety car. It looks like a VSC I think we have underway, but it's Avi from the start. It's first place. Pole translated to first place after lap 1 of 35. Panda in second, the championship leader. Hamrick in third with a fantastic start, up 5 places. Pampern though up 8 into 9th place as a couple of pit stops are being made. We've got a weird person joining us. This is not the first time this particular person has joined us in a race, I think, but won't be able to take control of a car. It's Jacques who's picked up a penalty. 3 pit stops, 1 for Ron, 1 for Top Gun and 1 for Chicken Wing. I don't think they'll be trying any dry tyres at this early stage of the race, but still the VSC continues. It seems we don't have the full safety car out. The only way I can tell the difference is because we don't have a yellow dot on the racetrack currently. Fabulous coding to introduce a new bug into the game. I don't know how many years they are into the development of the game, but yeah, new glitches all the time, despite adding barely any new features. We're under green flag, thankfully. Under green flag racing, so Hamrick with the fastest middle sector, and he is hot on the heels of Panda right now. Martin makes up a place against J-Boy further back in the grid, trying to put on a good recovery here, but Avi leads away. Will have 0 spray in his visor away from the start. Nice and easy restart for him. Good grip for Hamrick away here, as his teammate Shane has gone backwards by 3 places, but Sir Hamrick 4 tenths away from second place at the moment as the fastest laps tick by, thanks to the VSC. That was slightly sideways from Hamrick coming out of turn 1. It's not quite challenging. Looks like we've got Burn It Down on the back of the Ferrari of Chums. Not able to make a move either just yet. So the closest battle, this one currently for 6th place, Ferrari versus McLaren, as it has ever been. I don't know about you guys, but I think that the McLaren is the best looking car in game this season, at least, especially on board. I think it looks fantastic. Tell me if you disagree, and give me chapter and verse as to why. Well, Burn It Down 3 tenths away now. So Hamrick is 2 tenths away. Let's go up at Sir Hamrick. He might be tempted for a move into turn 12. No, he is almost running underneath the gearbox of Panda. That looked a little bit hairy for a moment. Lost a lot of time running wide. Should be able to get back underneath, get that slipstream under the rainy conditions. I do have a working theory that that damp air is you get better slipstreams in damp air than you do in dry air, but tell any aerodynamicists watching, tell me if that is true or not, or just confirmation bias on my part. No move from Burn It Down either into turn 1. There is the option here potentially tonight of running the intermediates start to finish with no pit stops. The drivers might well be thinking about that and wondering whether they might avoid a pit stop altogether if it stays damp during the entire race. So it's certainly an option to see, especially if we get a safety car. We've had a VSC to cool the tyres immediately, very early into the race. Looks like Avi's lost a little bit of time at the front, so the top 3 separated by 1.3 seconds, sorry, 2 seconds at the moment. Looks like Panda has managed to pick up some pace versus both Avi and Hamrick. So a challenge for the lead might be incoming shortly. Retirement from Chicken Wing already. Unfortunately, lap 4 we lose our first driver, then we're down to 17. So Panda half a second away from the lead of the race, which is currently with Avi. Fastest lap from Pampern. That's good to see in the Haas. He's currently 10 places up from his starting position up there in P7 and loving the conditions at the moment. You can see the dry line developing on the racetrack between turn 2 and 3. And we say goodbye to Chicken Wing, unfortunately. So Hamrick, with a 3-second time penalty, will affect his ability to fight for the podium come race, the full race distance. Try and keep my eye on what Pampern is up to. He's 6/10 off the car in front of Chums. We've got a mini battle going on between Martin and Pampern himself. Might be worth a quick look actually. Let's go see those two drivers as Martin on the fight back here. Pampern, having presumably spent a fair bit of ERS, gaining 10 places from the start of this race on the intermediate tyres in the Haas. It's equalised slightly there between the car in front and the car behind for Pampern. Oh, right up at the front there, possible move here from Panda on the outside of Avi. Avi defends to the inside. There may be more grip on the outside of the entry of the corner. We wait to see who emerges from turn 1 in front. It is Avalak from Panda right now as they compete for the lead of the race going into turn 2. And Panda trying to unlock some speed now. Feels a little bit blocked by Avalak at this stage of the race. But the top two very much getting away from the rest of the field. Hamrick has had a problem and has dropped down 2 places on the previous lap, so that promotes Stoffel and Shane up to 3rd and 4th respectively. Martin, Chums, Burn It Down, J-Boy all very close to one another, but I'll keep my eye here on the battle for the lead. That's where it's all about, isn't it? Running wide, Panda into turn 12. Trying to find a different line versus Avalak. Will probably look for wider entries and narrower exits. but it's not easily done. You might actually want to run all the way around the outside of some of these constant radius corners. 0.3 of a second separating them, and is the star of the race so far. Pampern is absolutely monstering the back of Chums. Has got past Chums, I think a mistake from Chums maybe. That promotes Pampern to 5th. Panda though tucked up right behind Avi, now has the inside of the circuit into turn 2, and Avalak takes the middle of the road, as he has every right to do, and holds on to that first position. But these guys slowing each other down. You can see Stoffel starting to stalk these two and gain some track position. Pampern, what an amazing start from near the back of the grid up to P5 currently. Pampern started 17th and is driving the wheels off this Haas, hopefully not taking too much tyre life out of the intermediate tyres, but it's a careful balancing act, because the more you try and save the life of the tyres, the quicker they cool and the less effective they actually are. Very difficult there. So Panda half a second away from Avi. Stoffel now half a second from Panda in 3rd place. Then we've got Shane, Pampern, Chums, Martin, Burn It Down, J-Boy chasing down Burn It Down very closely. And then we've got Botha in the top 10. Top Gun down 11 places. He'll be glad his family aren't watching this live, I think, tonight. Maybe it is the lulling the rest of us into the false sense of security for a late race charge. This is Panda looking for another opportunity on Avalak, but Avi got a great launch off the final corner and is starting to really get the handle of where Panda is stronger and get away from him. Obviously the rain lights at the back of the cars indicating for us absolutely nothing about the ERS usage. I'm quite tempted to have a quick sneaky look at ERS. So Panda has saved a little bit more here. Pampern unsurprisingly has spent just about everything, needs to recharge a little bit, but I don't want to give anything away to anybody watching too much. It's a little bit cheeky to be looking at the drivers' telemetry. I guess it's less of a problem if we're recording the race and not transmitting live. Well, the top 4 separated currently by about 3 seconds overall, 2 seconds even, as Shane is chasing down Stoffel. We've got a nice tight pack behind in the battle at 6th place, but for now we'll concentrate on the lead. It's lap 8 of 35. Avalak continues to lead against Panda, Stoffel against Shane. Great control shown by the drivers here. I would imagine around half distance they will start to really suffer with the intermediate tyre wear, unless they can find some wet portions of the racetrack. Panda has had a look there as Avalak steered to the inside to take an early apex of turn 1. Panda looking for that handy exit, but it's not quite there. Looks for the long way round turn 2. They'll go side by side, but not quite making it work. I continue to fight then into the blind entry at turn 4. I think if anything the rain looks to be getting worse for the drivers at the moment. Let's join one of them on board. Let's have a look at Shane on board here, and we'll keep track of what else is happening. I do think that rain is worsening for the drivers. This is not what they were expecting when they set their strategies, set their setups for the race. It could well be that the drivers decided to go for dry setup, of course, for qualifying. That makes it doubly difficult for the race. Top 4 really getting away now, but Pampern starting to claw back, maybe. He is 2 seconds away from the lead 4 drivers, and certainly hoping for a much better run, Pampern, than he had in qualifying, and so far so good for the Haas driver. We've got Chicken Wing claiming he was rammed off into a wall, unfortunately. Still no move up at the front there from Panda versus Avalak. very much running to Avalak's pace here. Whether that is his absolute pace or just what he's controlling the race and tyre wear at, I would imagine it's a little bit too close for comfort. I don't think you would be optionally leaving yourself quite so vulnerable to the car behind, but it's a very difficult track to overtake, especially without DRS, so hardly a surprise to see such condensed running. You have to take your hat off though to these drivers for the amount of control they're able to demonstrate on the circuit. So far we are 10 laps into the 35 lap Hungarian Grand Prix, with rain intensifying from the very start. Top Gun and Chicken Wing arguing, Top Gun arguing mid-race, some 26 seconds off the pace at the moment, hoping for a safety car. The fact that we haven't had a safety car under wet conditions with 17 runners on the circuit is remarkable. Panda on board, trying to use the slipstream. There is a good slipstream, but he needs to be that little bit closer as Martin sets a new fastest lap of 31.002. Focus needed from the drivers is absolutely immense, as Pampern has in fact got right onto the back of this group of 4 drivers and may well have the initiative here and the extra pace to make a move shortly. Beautiful helicopter shot here. I've been asking the game developers, they're not listening to me of course, but I'm asking the game developers for more helicopter shots. So much more useful when it comes to at least slow sections of racetrack here on from a spectator's point of view. Martin is also closing up on these guys as well, so everybody having to run to Avalak's pace at this stage. No real option for them. Oh, someone very slow. That it would. We've gone down to a safety car situation. Now a question mark for a pit entry here. Avalak comes into the pits looking for a new set of tyres. Panda says no, don't want new tyres, thank you very much. Stoffel goes round and doesn't want the new tyres either, quite happy on those tyres. So Panda, Stoffel, Pampern will inherit the podium positions as the main guys here decide to go for a new set of tyres. I don't think they'll change compound. I think that they will stay on those intermediate tyres as they come out. A cheap pit stop, nice new tyres for them at lap 12 of 35. We're not quite at that halfway point yet, but I would have thought those tyres easily make it to the end if the rain continues, as the Aston Martin safety car takes to the track. Chums and Saltzmeister have pitted. Doesn't look like Cowboy, and Cowboy will pit. AP Marg decides not to. I'm not quite sure why anyone south of P6 or 7 wouldn't pit here. Looks like everybody else seeming to make that decision. We'll see what Top Gun does here. He was on the cusp of being lapped, Top Gun, so we'll be very pleased to see the safety car come in. I think he's got time enough to make a pit stop and get round to the tail of the field, and it allows us to take a quick stock of where things stand. It is Panda from Stoffel, Pampern, Martin and J-Boy. Those drivers are on old intermediates that have done 11 laps. Then comes Avalak and Shane, your previous 2 lead runners, on fresh intermediates. Then a starting tyre Botta in 8th. He's moved up a lot of places as a result of not pitting. Next comes Burn It Down Chums in the top 10. Then just outside the top 10, Saltzmeister, AP Marg having not stopped. Everybody else then has stopped. Cowboy Ron, Jacques and Top Gun, with just DNFs from Sir Hamrick and Chicken Wing. Looks like that was the DNF of Sir Hamrick that triggered that particular safety car, but will be a little while yet reassembling the grid with Top Gun so far off the back of the circuit. It is just closing out lap 12, start of lap 13. There we go. That's your race order currently. Waiting then for the rearmost driver to get on board with the rest of the grid order. This is Top Gun on new intermediates. Quick look then at penalties on the cars. No penalties at all from anybody, which is great to see. Trying to get around here on board Top Gun. Seems plenty of grip on the new intermediates. I wonder how the cars are handling on the older tyres. That will be absolutely fascinating when it comes to the front end of the order. Haven't heard that the safety car is in yet, so I think given the gap to the rear of the field, it will be a little while. There'll be another lap still to come. Oh, retirement from Top Gun at the back of the field. That doesn't look deliberate, unfortunately. That looks like an accidental one under the safety car. Shades of George Russell in Imola last year. So a big problem there for Top Gun, unfortunately, is out of this race now. But that should mean that we are able to get underway in the next time across the start-finish line. The rain is starting to stop as well on the drivers. Will anybody... Yeah, there's no rain coming down at the moment. I wonder if anyone will be tempted to go into the pits and fit dry tyres at the end of this lap. A particularly cynical person might suggest that someone at the rear of the field driving very slowly might be trying to get a free pit stop for dry tyres here. Does seem a little bit beyond the realm, but I'm surprised to see Jacques not quite catch up to the tail of the field. I think having been under the safety car for so long now, I think that might, yeah, he's catching up now. I don't think it's a deliberate action, but it is an option for people not quite in contention at the top of the order. In fact, all the drivers could elect to come in. Depends what they're feeling on track. What I'm seeing as a spectator, as a commentator here, is not necessarily what the drivers are feeling. There's plenty of lines still on the racetrack, but no rain is falling. The Hungaroring sits in a natural bowl, a kind of natural coliseum, if you will. The safety car has confirmed it will come in this lap. Now, does anybody feel brave enough to attack and decide to go in the pits instead of try and restart this race? We will have to wait and see as Sergeant Panda starts to control this race. He's got a good gap now. Now would be a great time to go for Panda, but he condenses the field further. The earliest possible time to go, the better, but safety car does need to get into the pits. You can't end up overtaking the safety car. I imagine it will be the apex of the next corner he will go. He actually goes slightly early, does he? No. It was a false start slightly there from Panda. He goes now, and the drivers launch away at the start of lap 15. with a little bit of weaving just to generate either heat or moisture in the tyres and get a feel for how the car is going to behave. Stoffel from Panda at the front of the field. So far, so clean from everybody. Oh, I spoke too soon, as AP Marg seems to be stuck at the back of the grid, either went wide or spun, but Panda continues to lead then on the warm used intermediate tyres. No major steps forward from the drivers with fresh intermediates on, but they will be better off later into this race. However, could be that the intermediate drivers decide to run these absolutely slick. We will have to wait and see. Could be to their advantage that they have less tyre depth left in the tread, as the track might be starting to dry up. Certainly from the perspective of on board, there's no moisture on the cars and nothing falling on them either. Panda leads away from Stoffel and Pampern, Martin, J-Boy, and we ride with Avalak in 6th. Very calm and controlled restart from the drivers. Just AP Marg losing out, but 14 drivers, all very much of a pace with one another. Shane is anxious to get ahead here of Avalak. Shane closing up too late into the final corner and losing ground a little bit. Tempted to go for a move as sparks fly from the rear of the flexi-floored Red Bull. Though I imagine that's not been coded into the game. Shane still right on the back of our erstwhile leader and pole sitter Avalak. I know it looks like the drivers are going around in slow motion, but I'm sure they're pushing. Just difficult under these slippery conditions, and it could be that we see a pit stop fairly soon from someone for dry tyres. AP Marg has slipped back further still from the field, so gaining all that time to the leader under the safety car has done very little for him. He's now 11.4 seconds off the back of 14th place Jack. That looked a lot better through the final corner from Shane. He'll be right on the tail of Avalak here. Martin goes fastest once again, frustrated in 4th. No way through right now for Shane. This is slightly processional with the difference, the minimal difference between the cars, combined with no DRS here. This is like the worst of the processional Hungarian Grand Prix of old. Take nothing away from the drivers though, it is tremendously difficult to drive in these conditions. I do feel like the track is very much drying up though. Pampern is in 3rd place after starting 17th. Let's see if we can see anything on his tyres. Still seemingly plenty of grip on those tyres. There's plenty of tread marks at least. We'll find out when he goes through a very slow corner, such as turn 12 or 13. Currently, the tyres looking very healthy indeed. I think he'll be within striking distance very shortly here of Stoffel's P2. He's got a lot of grip tonight. He's really set this car up well. I wonder whether Pampern decided to sacrifice qualifying speed and the dry setup for qualifying for a much better wet setup here in the race. It seems to be very, very good for him. His race pace in the wet here or damp conditions has been superb. Of course, these drivers may well be able to only stop the once for dry tyres if it continues to dry up. super close now as the McLaren recovery continues. Martin in 4th, Burn It Down just 4 tenths away from 7th place at the moment. They're in 8th. Very close driving going on further down the grid. Let's go and have a look at those guys following behind Shane and Avalak. Super close here. Burn It Down. Very difficult to find the kind of overspeed needed to make a move, but of course it's blink and you miss it stuff here in FTR. If you turn your eyes away from the screen, you can be almost guaranteed there'll be a major problem at some point and someone will disappear off the track. My chances of catching that said person are very slim at any given point. We start lap 19 then of 35, and Panda still has a 6/10 lead from Stoffel, who has a 6/10 gap to Pampern. Then a small gap out there to Martin and J-Boy. All those 5 drivers on the same tyre, same age tyre. They're all on intermediates. But Avalak, Shane, Burn It Down, Chums all stopped for tyres. Haven't really been able to unlock a great deal of pace here. Pampern still looks like the fastest guy on track. Martin is picking up the odd fastest lap overall, but Pampern is always on the tail of somebody else. Really having some great speed, and if he can just get by the Aston Martin driver. The problem is it's hard to apply the kind of pressure you need to force an error, because everyone just knows there's no way past unless you can get right alongside down into turn 1. So if someone's really sensible about it, they can have mirrors full of another driver and just spend all their ERS coming out of the final corner and feel quite safe and secure. Perney's right underneath there. Gets a very tight line on the way into the final corner. Should translate to an early power delivery. This looks good from him. 0.3 of a second, down to 1/4 of a second. Getting down just isn't enough though. The straight just isn't long enough for Pampern to draw alongside and challenge under braking. Yellow flag in sector 3. What are we seeing? That's a Haas. That's Cowboy slowing. Cowboy back on the main straight though, back up to racing speed. Thankfully not a driver missing from the race as they barrel through turn 4 with plenty of confidence on the racetrack. Still no rain falling, but still the drivers no one wants to try out the dry tyres. Whoa, Pampern super close into the chicane, excuse me. See if the Haas driver can get there. Oh, the first penalty for a long time comes from Ron. A 3-second penalty there, down in 13th place. This is a powder keg of a race. This could be the opportunity now for Pampern though, as a big mistake from Stoffel in the final corner. He gets a good drive away from the release though. It looks like he managed to save some ERS. I think it'd be a good time to view that ERS on board, as Stoffel clearly spent plenty chasing, trying to dissuade Pampern from a possible manoeuvre. Wasn't quite there for him, as Avalak continues to follow tightly behind the second Mercedes of J-Boy. He's got Shane for company, and Burn It Down has drifted back slightly, not able to really force an error from the 2 drivers in front of him, who used to have a one hand on a podium trophy tonight. Top Gun's left the session, so we have 15 drivers, and AP Mark is in the pits. Is that for a change of tyres? Has he decided to go on to the soft tyres, or has he decided in fact to quit on us tonight? Let's see. He's at the tail end of the pit. He is going for dry tyres, so we're going to see some dry tyre running. AP Mark is currently a long old way away from the leader. Let's have a quick look at that gap to leader. In fact, so AP Mark We'll wait for the next sector maybe and get an idea about what kind of speed he will unlock. Will anybody at the front of the field decide to go for the pit stop? Are they paying attention to the grid? They can't really see what's going on at the tail of the field. So 1 minute 13 is the gap for AP Marg from the rest of the field. Make it 1 minute 14. And we'll ride with him, I think, as we see these drivers through the first corner safely. Let's see what AP Marg, how the car is handling under the soft tyres, and what kind of speed he can unlock here. Through into sector 1 he goes. He's using very high gears on the way out. He's got damage on the car, it seems, so maybe not a fully representative times on the board for a soft runner. AP Marg is taking this very, very carefully. That could be actually a tactic so as not to alert anybody too early on, but he's going a lot slower than the leaders. Currently you can see the leaders on the track map starting to catch AP Marg, in fact, but he will be best placed on the newest tyres. Those soft tyres, if it is DRS has been enabled, that should mean we actually have a dry race on the cards here. That is usually the indicator if the drivers are in two minds to head on into the pits. AP Marg could well be in a good position here, although right now that car is not performing quite where he would want it to be on new soft tyres. 1 minute 25 his gap, and the pit stop start, and Pampern decides it might be a lap early. So does Martin. Avalak also the same decision. J-Boy into the pits, and we've got Shane staying out, in fact, as well. So the erstwhile podium position holders, Avalak and Shane and Stoffel, may well finish that way themselves. A fastest lap on the board there for Shane as well, which is great to see. What else is going on? Pampern leads this race from 17th on the grid, and I'm tempted to see exactly what AP Marg is doing. Well, he is still going so slowly that he's now been lapped by the leader. That is AP Marg just being lapped by the lead 2, 3, 4 drivers. AP Marg on the soft tyres. Having said that, he is on damaged tyres as well. Medium tyres have gone on the car for Panda and Stoffel, for Burn It Down and J-Boy. They will be difficult on the first few laps in these wet conditions, but it could well be that they have chosen one lap too early to really go for it and push. But these drivers can now know at the front of the grid that this is hammer time. It's time to just shred the intermediate tyres, just abuse them and come in and trade them for a new set of boots. They will never be as useful to them as they are on this lap right now. And let's see, will they decide to defend against the undercut? Pampern is shaping to the pit lane, but still the top 3, 4 decide not to go into the pits. I'm really surprised by this from the drivers, as Chums decides the same as well. A new fastest lap from Avalak. What are Panda's tyres up to? Is he able to put in any kind of decent lap times at the moment? I don't think so. He's several seconds away here. That was a brave decision, but it could be a wrong decision overall. So with 11 laps to go, Panda currently 23 seconds slower than his fastest time. That's just his out lap. Try not to get too excited about it, but that is what's going down with him. It's really interesting to see. He's now 28 seconds off the leader. He needs to get within 25, 24 seconds to undercut the cars in front. At the moment, that is extending by half a tenth a mini sector. But very soon, very soon, it will be a very different story for Panda. It will suddenly snap. The weather and the track conditions for him suddenly seem like a much better position to be in. Let's go up to the front of the grid and see if anyone feels like a pit stop. Avalak might well do, because he's losing ground here. It looks like Pampern from the lead of the race has gone into the pits, as have Martin, Avalak, Shane. They've all decided it is now is the trigger point to go in to the pits. So where will that see Panda come out of the pits? Into the pits comes Chums. I think Botta and Ron may well do exactly the same thing. Panda is the one that it's all about here. as the drivers have put on medium tyres to finish this race out. They might have been tempted at this point now to go for softs with 10 laps to go. I think soft tyres would have made it now, but they're playing it safe as well they should do. Sergeant Panda has not been able to come out of the pits relative to the others. Somehow or other, Martin has managed to overtake Pampern as they do battle side by side into turn 2, coming out of the pits. Tremendous stuff from the drivers. Overall, that is Pampern versus Martin. Martin getting the better of Pampern this time on the medium tyres as they go into this voyage of discovery on these dry tyres now. Ron is still on intermediates, the one holdout, and is much slower than the other drivers currently. They're catching him hand over fist. Someone might well make a big mistake shortly, and Burn It Down has fallen foul of track limits. There's a yellow flag caused by a Ferrari. I think that must be Chums into sector 2, but he's got going once again. It is Martin from Pampern after that better pit stop for Martin and pit exit crucially into turn 1, who currently lead this race. Another yellow flag now in sector 3 this time. Who was that? Was that an Aston Martin? Is that Stoffel or is that AP Mark getting out of the way of everybody? I think it's AP Mark being lapped and getting out of everybody's way. Panda gets fastest lap, Stoffel gets fastest lap. So it definitely wasn't Stoffel having problems in the Aston Martin, as there's now a 4/10 of a second gap between the lead two. They have it all to themselves. Martin and Pampern, from disappointing qualifying positions from both of them, now see themselves with a fantastic opportunity here to take the podium, and they will have the use of DRS on the next time round as well. It's going to be huge for this remaining 9 laps of the race. Looks like some damage on the car for Pampern, and potentially Martin listed there on the dash for the telemetry. So early pitter Panda is now in 4th. The first pit stop was, remind me. The first pit stop was from AP Mark, and it's done him no favours whatsoever. Another yellow flag now in 2 sectors. That's a Mercedes. That's J-Boy DNF. J-Boy DNF and a safety car too late for the lead pair to do anything about it. Shane decides not to pit, but Panda crucially is going to pit, as is Stoffel. I think they've got a chance here for some soft tyres. Avalak decides that track position is more important as we see this race out, but soft tyres will be perfect towards the end of this race. Burn It Down could rescue his race as well and comes into the pits. What does Chums decide to do? This is crucial for this fantastic sprint finish I think we're going to see. There's a new safety car on the field, but crucially we will see some soft tyres. There they go on Panda Stoffel and on Burn It Down. Will Jacques, he stays out because he's already on soft tyres, but a new set of softs might have been the way to go. Botta stays 11th. Saltzmeister sticks on the tyres, as does Cowboy, does he? Well, what have you got to lose, Cowboy? You're currently P13 with no threat behind of AP Mark, whose AI I think is running the show. No, AP Mark is in the car. Running low on fuel is Martin currently. There's definitely damage on the vehicle of Pampern, which is not a good sign for him at all. Could be side pod damage. There's nothing visible, but it could be side pod damage overdoing, or floor damage overdoing curb usage. Penalties on the board as well currently. Let's take a quick look. Ron and Burn It Down will have time added at the end of the session. And a quick look at this topsy-turvy grid sees Martin up 3, Pampern up 15 positions. That's right, 15 positions. Ron up 7 and Cowboy up 5. Some great racing so far from these drivers, with a real drama at the finish with a dry finish. We were expecting a wet finish to this race, but a dry finish, a mixture of medium running top 4, soft running 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and the tail of the field will really show us some fun at the end of this one. And I think we're about due, aren't we? Some entertaining racing. Oh, a pit stop there from Bernard Down comes into the pits. Decides on shedding his penalty, which is pretty wise. So our second full safety car, our third overall full course caution, sees Martin lead Pampern, Shane Avalak all on medium tyres, Panda Stoffel on the softs, Chums on the medium, Ron, Jacques on the softs, and Botta in P10 on the medium tyres. I hope we will see the end of the safety car shortly for a 7-lap sprint to the finish, which is just about enough laps to dissuade the drivers from going bonkers at the end of a race. I mean, no complaints as a commentator from drivers going a little bit doolally at the end of a race, but we do like to see a fair result nonetheless. You could argue, of course, that a fair result is impossible when it comes to the amount of safety cars we've had, but there's the brakes. So the field has condensed in time for turn 12. Will we get the notification, or do we go around again? Mr. Mylander, what's the decision? I'm assuming that we have had notification, and unfortunately I have missed it. The safety car is in. The safety car is in to the pit lane. So we will start again. Martin leading from Pampern and Shane. Dry tyres, we will wait a lap for the DRS to be enabled, so it might get a little bit crazy going down into the first corner. As a great run from Pampern, he's spending away on the ERS as well, could go for a late run. Will he go bowling into turn 1? Not quite, he just avoids contact, has to run wide, loses a place possibly to Shane. They go side by side on the way into turn 2. Pampern just hanging on currently. That was Code Brown moment for Pampern, leaning on the brakes and it just not stopping in time for him as the top 3 sprint away. The next 3 drivers super close as well. So let's have a look at the intervals, because it's about to get pretty crazy out there. It's Martin continues from Pampern and Shane. Panda and Stoffel got ahead of Avi and Chums and continue on those soft tyres with easy tyre warm-up stage. They'll be tough at the end of the stint, but I think they'll be fine, quite frankly. Panda looking on the recovery. He's 1/10, make that 2/10 away from Shane here on the middle of the circuit. There's no real way through though here. I don't think they'll get DRS for the next opportunity, which is the start-finish straight and the short shoot between turns 1 and 2, but the time after that they almost certainly will. Nice and close is Panda. Great traction from Panda as well. Gets sucked up underneath the AlphaTauri's gearbox, and our championship leader up to P3, comfortably ahead before the braking zone. Looks to get a good exit as well. Should do really well on the soft tyres. Behind him comes Stoffel right alongside, and oh, that was a little bit rude. I think Stoffel lost the car slightly, and Avalak game for taking a position nice and early doors. He's up against his sister car of the AlphaTauri, who defends to the inside, discourages a move. Avi couldn't quite get Shane in the end. And Pampern is right close to Martin as well. Martin trying to gap here, but Avalak on the medium tyres hasn't quite got the traction advantage that Panda and Stoffel both had on Shane. Looks like Chum's suffering against Ron, who has unlocked a bit of pace now on the dry tyres. This is the difference between the dry setup cars and the wet setup cars. Here is Avalak Will he have a go into turn 12? He might well do. Down the inside on the helicopter cam. Beautiful overtake from Avalak as Shane just couldn't turn into the corner. A little touch, but Avalak was already there and ahead and into P5. Great stuff from Avi into P5 now, but he wants this win. He started pole. Anything less than a win is going to seem like a disappointment, maybe. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's Martin, Pampern, Panda and Stoffel, the top four, just followed by league owner Avalak in 5th place with 4 laps to go, including this one. Up the hill towards turn 4, Pampern getting very close here now, and a fastest first sector for Pampern on the medium tyres. Drivers getting super close at completely the wrong parts of the racetrack, only to then lose out against their rival up ahead. Looks like Pampern just outside of DRS zone at the moment. That could be problematic for him. I think he's just going to miss the DRS detection. Will he? Let's ride with him as far as we're able. Yeah, no, he did get DRS. He just stayed within the 1 second mark, but it's not enough to get close to the charge here. We've got Burn It Down, I think alongside Jack. Is he? He is, and he's past Jack. Burn It Down into 8th place with a successful move into turn 1. Burn It Down on the soft tyres. Jack also on the soft tyres, but was very early to stop on those softs. Jack now 9 laps deep, and he is going to struggle to the end of this race with 3 laps to go, including this one. Avalak still very close, but it's a tight battle at the front. Martin allowing Pampern to get close in the middle of the circuit where he knows it's very difficult to pass. I think he's going to use all of his ERS on the way out of the final corner. Although he's spent a lot of it, it's now into the hard to recover portion of sub 10%. Very difficult to recover the car. Recover the energy enough to charge the battery quickly. Pampern with 13%, Martin with 14 now. So it'll be a battle of deployment down the start-finish straight on lap 33. Here they go then, Pampern 0.3 of a second away. He will draw very, very close. He will probably be too far away to really go for it, but he might have a chance into turn 2. He needs to absolutely nail turn 1. It didn't quite work for him. He didn't quite have the right line through the corner. Avalak very close to Stoffel, but again, you need to be within 0.2 of a second coming out of turn 1, I think, to really make it stick into turn 2. Avalak again getting too close at turn 5, but unfortunately it is follow my leader through the rest of this sector. At least no real way to stay with the car with your rival through the middle sector of the racetrack without running wide or deliberately oversteering into the corners. All too easy to make a mistake, but he's very close. He's sticking with him. Maybe I'm thinking about pre-2022 spec cars too much, but clearly Avi managed to stay with Stoffel. I think the soft tyres are starting to run out here for Stoffel versus the mediums of Avalak. Oh, he's almost pushing him out of the final corner. He just needed a different line, but I think Avalak will get him here. He's 0.2 of a second away, down to 1/10. Definitely will be there on the brakes. Down the inside goes Avalak. Nice maneuver. He'll have a second go of DRS, but he's got the inside line exit of turn 1. He's got a difficult braking zone here on around the outside. Leaves lots of room for potential understeer, and a great overtake from Avalak. Took a couple of corners, took every tool he had in the toolbox, but he got it done up to P4 on lap 34. I think it's that point now where the medium tyres are in the better place. Panda, his ability now to challenge for the podium may be hampered. Avalak's mission is clearly to do the to put the 3-second gap he needs on Stoffel to secure that 4th place with a 3-second penalty on the board. I don't think it's going to change matters for him particularly. Pampern may have slipped too far away from Martin. Let's have a look as he saved a lot more energy. He has actually saved a lot more energy, saving it all for the last lap here, and he just sneaks underneath 1 second, does he, for the trip down into the final lap opportunity. Pampern 0.7 of a second, spending everything he's got, but it's just too far away at this stage. Is it to make a difference? Shane might make a move here on Stoffel, whose soft tyres are very, very old. Shane down into the first corner on the final lap of the race, gets the job done. In fact, behind him looks like Burn It Down paying close attention to Stoffel, who has got mirrors full of bright orange McLaren. Round the outside goes Burn It Down. Fantastic manoeuvre from Burn It Down up to P6. That's how it's done. Pampern with everything to do here, but with very little racetrack or race time left to do it in. He is on the final lap, following the leader, Martin. Martin, how he's managed to achieve this, I'm not quite sure from where he started, but Pampern from 17th to 2nd on the grid. Pampern is only thinking about a potential win here, nothing short of a win, but I'm sure when he reflects it will be a evening well spent from that kind of climb. There's a massive problem on the circuit, and I think that's Avalak stopped on the exit of turn 11. I don't think it will affect anybody else's race. He's getting back under racing conditions, but it will be a win for Martin in Hungary, and a 2nd place from 17th on the grid for Pampern. What a tremendous end to that race. Sergeant Panda leading the championship gets good points for Mercedes in 3rd. Shane secures 4th. Stoffel in 5th. Burn It Down in 6th. Ron will not hold on to 7th, I don't think, once Botta crosses the line. No, he does. Ron does hold on to 7th. Botta in 8th. Salzmeister 9th. Jacques will take 10th. Cowboy in 11th. Avalak, I can't explain what happened at the end of that one to struggle on his way out of turn 11. Ended up on the inside exit of turn 1, but it's all about Martin tonight, who wins the race in P1. Pampern, though, what a climb up the order. I can't wait to talk to him in the interviews, but it's Martin, Pampern, Panda, your top 3. What a fantastic end to a very difficult night's racing for the drivers. Majority of the race was done in the wet conditions, and Martin secures the win. He really needed that as well for his championship hopes, so he is really securing some great points. Just check up on fastest lap was actually Avalak, but he's outside the top 10, so that's not going to be a great finish for Avalak. Martin with the win overall. We'll hope to talk to him shortly. We have where I think within time to be able to finish this one out. Martin does it, and congratulations to him. Pampern, driver of the day, absolutely slam dunk, no question. Pampern wins that driver of the day award, and a fantastic 2nd place as well. There we go. There is Martin steering his way. The stewards will be needing that steering wheel for scrutineering. Well, the scrutineers, I suppose. It lifts the trophy then in Hungary. It's the wrong trophy for Hungary. It should be some pig ugly thing made of ceramic. But he slams the champagne down. And champagne time for McLaren on the top step with Martin. But a tremendous race from Pampern as well. And Panda with good points for the championship. Here is your finishing order then. Martin from Pampern. We see a race time of 56 minutes overall from Panda, Shane, Stoffel, Burn It Down, Ron, Botta, Salzmeister and Jacques finish out the top 10. Cowboy, Avalak and Chums managed to finish on the lead lap. AP Marg did not, and then we have the no finishes of 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th, J-Boy, Top Gun, Hamrick and Chicken Wing.